What? So you may have seen a video recently of Game Changer Audio with their new plasma voice, which has been announced. I just thought I'd do a quick look at the module. I don't have it, it's not here, so I'm sorry about that. I hope to get one because I think it looks cool. Straight off the bat, I will say that it looks pretty awesome, particularly for someone like me. I gravitate to distorted, brutal sounds. This seems like it was almost engineered and built and designed for me. So I don't have the module, but I just thought we'd have a quick look at it, see if we can fathom what this is. If we look at their website, this is Game Changer Audio. They've done these kind of really interesting pedals. You've probably all seen this one, the plasma drive. They did that with Erica synths. I've used it. It was really cool. So I guess it's taking that same principle one step further. You know, they're really going for it in terms of like this whole kind of tube diode or whatever it was called, sorry. And of course they did the motor synth. I've never used this. I've walked past it so many times whenever I've been at somewhere like Super Booth or whatever, and I can't get my hands on it. Everyone's just like queuing up to play on this because it's so different, such a unique approach. Yeah, they're a really interesting company, and I guess that goes with the name, Game Changer Audio, in that they're trying to have a completely different approach. Let's have a look at the voice then. Well, it's 16 HP. That's good. I mean, actually 16 HP, that's not that big. And this thing, from what I've read, there's a lot going on in here. Let's just go to the top of the page and let's start from the top here in its side-on view. So it doesn't look too deep. That's always something that I'm looking at when I'm thinking about modules as well, you know. The depth of modules is really important. I was expecting this maybe to have been even deeper because, you know, you've literally got this kind of tube in there and that takes up physical space. So I was I was wondering about that. In fact, we could probably, just pop over here to the modular grid, 35mm deep. Yeah, so how it works. I've tried to understand this. I think I've understood it. You've got this high voltage running between these electrodes. I believe it is 2 electrodes, and it's generating all that kind of stuff going on, electrical discharges. And then what this allows you to do is modulate that with the built-in sounds, as they call it. So these might be some predefined samples, modulated by predefined samples and envelope shapes. So basically it's taking this discharge and changing the shape of that based on these samples and envelopes they've got in there. So that's why you don't need to send anything into this. It's essentially self-contained in terms of the way that it's generating the sound.
The discharge produces a visible electrical arc between 2 electrodes within a glass xenon tube, as well as a strong burst of electromagnetic energy. This energy is picked up by a special built-in antenna and demodulated back into audio level signal to produce a strong, unique, harmonically saturated and rich tone.
You got that? Good, because I'm going to be testing you later. Sounds brutal, eh?
With the plasma voice, we are taking this approach to the next level by turning the transformer and plasma tube circuit itself into a screaming, resonating oscillator.
Yes.
The plasma voice's discharges are shaped and controlled by a proprietary digital engine that sends out specific sets of voltages and control signals into the plasma voice's transformer and tube driver circuits in order to produce a wide variety of high voltage oscillator sound.
Yeah, I mean, essentially you've got a carrier and a modulator. The discharge would be the carrier and then the samples would be the modulator. Those sounds that modulate the discharge, they're organized into different banks. So you've got 7 banks. In each of those banks you've got 7 sounds within that, so 7 times 7, so you've got bass, lead, pluck, drum. Let's have a listen to some of these sounds just to hear what these are like. Okay. I mean, this... Okay, so there's a treble, he's just cranked up there a little bit and turned down the drive as well. It's interesting. It sounds like, you know, by emphasizing the treble, it seemed to have dropped out the bass a little bit. Let me just check that. Oh no, it did turn down the bass a little bit. Okay. Get that kind of really raspy, broken up top end, don't you, with this? It's kind of fizzy. Ooh. Ooh, that low end coming back in, that sounds great. That's really cool that they put that bass and treble on there, really quick to be able to kind of manipulate that in real time. That's a real, yeah, that's going to be really, really cool to play with. Ooh, nice. All right. What? Nice. I mean, this is, for the sort of music that I'm making, you know, hard techno and that kind of stuff, this is great. Because usually to get to this point and generate those sort of sounds, I would start with a complex oscillator and I'd run it through some different distortions and I'd have them running all in parallel and I'd combine them together, run them through a filter and an amplifier and shape them. Instead, you can do it all inside of this one module, which is going to save me a lot of HP in my live case, that's for sure. But having said that, I'd probably maybe want one of these for kick drums and one of these for bass lines. Drums going to be interesting. Yeah, let's listen to the drums. Has he got the drums? Lead sound, drum, okay. I mean, there's not a lot of low end I'm hearing, but anyway, when I'm creating distorted kick drums and you want something quite beefy, you're probably going to want to layer up your distorted sound with a dry sound anyway. So the way that I'm imagining this working is that I would have this playing and I'd have something like Perquons or even just something that's kind of nice and round and fat like an 808 and merge it in with this. I'm using the Perquons quite a lot in combination with the pulsar, combining those together, and then I run it through different modules, different distortion, more distortion. You know, working with music, a lot of it is sound design, isn't it? And just coming up with really, really cool sounds. Just absolutely sample this like crazy, I think. And then I can just have loads of samples just kind of ready to go when I'm playing live. Let's just have a quick look at the interface. So yeah, you've got this rotary dial here by the looks of it, which allows you to select through the different banks. I think it also probably becomes an octave switch, depending on what setting you've got it on. There's the banks there. These would change the sound within the bank. Also then things like CV modulation values and drive, bass and treble. I don't know if the treble in the bass is fixed frequencies that it's kind of attenuating. I presume it is. We've got time we can play around with, mod, harm, flux and filter. We'll have to look at that. These are the different sliders for those. These look like the CV inputs for those. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 inputs here. So that'll be trigger, accent, mult, CV. My understanding is that anything that you send into that, and you can then apply to multiple places at once, including switching between the different sounds and the banks. That's really cool. If it does that fast enough, then yeah, you're going to be able to switch between like really cool, get really cool sounds. Here's your mult CV input. Apply it to your volt per octave, time, mod, harm, all those different places. You can do MIDI channel select. I must say, I like the way that they've kind of designed the menu, if you like, when you've got 7 LEDs or lights or whatever they are at the top and at the bottom, depending on where they are. Probably will take a little bit of getting used to, but it's not like it's menu divey. Filter mode select, so you can have low pass, high pass. Oh, it's got a DJ style high pass and low pass as well. That's nice. So you turn it one way and it'll go high pass, you turn it the other way, it'll go low pass. Happy days, that's what we like. And then when you've got it in the other modes, low pass and high pass, as I mentioned, you close the filter one way and it just changes the cutoff frequency. You change it the other way, it does that, but it adds envelope modulation as well. You've got your MIDI here as well. I like this. Never operate the Plasma Voice near water or on an outdoor stage in rainy conditions. Do not play your Plasma Voice in the shower. You've been warned. And I did also wonder about this because that tube, I presume over time it will, I don't know, it'll run out of gas or whatever's in it, I don't know. But it says here that it's got an estimated 10,000 hours of runtime. If it gets broken or if it's faulty, or I guess it just dies over time, then contact the dealer. There's a lifetime warranty, I believe, on that. I think I read that somewhere. You've got your MIDI input. Again, MIDI, really cool. And I think you can apply MIDI to so many different areas. And then you've got your output. This is monophonic. I presume the output is just mono. Oh, you've got some more things down here by the looks of it as well. You've got these two buttons for something. We'll have a look at that in a second. I think these are different modes for the way the module uses triggers or plays back the envelopes. Yeah, let's have a look at these different trigger modes.
Sound's length is determined by the time slider.
So this is trig mode. Gets a trigger.
However, we can
the time changes it
to gate mode, thus increasing our control over the sound decay time.
So yeah, gate, you then get more control over the decay time. Okay.
It continuous sound re-triggers as soon as the decay stage is over.
Brilliant, so yeah, looping. So as soon as the decay stage is over, it'll keep looping round. I guess with those really fast looping of the envelopes going on, you can get even more kind of, I don't know, more kind of distortion in a way, more kind of overtones, if you know what I mean. Sometimes I'll do that with a VCF, for example, audio rate modulation on that. You can get this kind of extra kind of going on, you know what I mean.
Number 4 is oscillator mode, which essentially turns the Plasma Voice into a complex oscillator with full independent control over amplifier level with the second slider. We can now use external control voltage to modulate various parameters of the synth, including creating our own envelopes, pitch modulation, and parameter modulation with the CV inputs and attenuators.
So just thinking about that actually, the drive, the bass and the treble doesn't have any CV input, so you can't modulate them with CV, which is fine. Having said that, I would have thought maybe one of the most obvious things that you'd want to modulate is maybe drive, just so you can kind of bring that in at times and just kind of make it more emphasized. Maybe there is a way of doing that. Maybe that's what you can do with harm. Maybe that's what you could do. Oh, that's nice. You've got a master attenuator for all incoming CV, so send loads of CV in. With that master level, turn it all down so it's not doing anything, and then you can slowly bring it up and start adding movement and groove and changes. Nice. Great idea.
The fifth trigger mode is called on and off, which simply means that incoming triggers will toggle the oscillator's state from switched on to off.
Okay. Analog signal path. This is interesting. So it is an analog signal path. It goes through drive path, it then goes through the EQ, it then goes through an amp, so it's got a VCA in there, and it's also got a VCF as well. So there's a lot going on. Yeah, so you got the 6 sliders for pitch, time. So time is envelope time stretch. So I guess that is, depending on what mode you've got it set to, that'll probably change the length of the envelope. Mod being pitch modulation, harmonic content effect. So yeah, producing more harmonics, I guess. Electric artifact effect. Try to say that fast. You've also got this cutoff filter with and without envelope modulation. Oh yeah, I remember reading about this. So I think if you turn the dial, depending on what mode you've got it in, I think there's 3 different modes or 2 different modes for the filter. I think if you turn it one way, it kind of closes the filter. You turn it the other way, and it starts closing the filter, but it starts applying an envelope shape to it. Alternative functions, which are fine tune, accent, filter resonance. You've got a manual trigger. You've got a clutch for temporary editing buffer. Oh yes, I read about this. So while you hold down this clutch button, I think you can change loads of values, and then it won't change the sound until you let go of the clutch, and then it changes. So that's pretty cool. You know, in a live setting, for example, hold down clutch, do something where you transition in, change a load of stuff, drop that out, and drop in the new sound by letting go of the clutch. Nice little kind of performance aspect there. And what else we got here? CV and trig. 7 CV inputs, we looked at those. 1 volt per octave, plus or minus 10 volts, plus or minus 5 volts for the parameters. 5 trigger input modes. Got these accent modes as well. Accent, duck, starve, CV, freeze, jump, reverse burst.
Voice also features a multi-mode accent input that can take either gates or triggers, and it can be configured into 7 distinct, highly performative modes. Here are a few examples.
Accent modes. Incoming accent indicated with flashing clutch button. Okay. Oh, that's nice. So you can add this little bit of extra kind of variation just by adding that accent every now and then. That's cool. What's that being applied to? Is that being applied to the volume? Not sure. Be nice if you could apply that accent input to, well, anything you wanted to. So if you wanted it to the filter cut off, you could, or you know, any of those different destinations, that'd be ace. So you've got a ducking one here, which generates your kind of false side chaining going on, which is great because instead of having a couple of different modules like a VCA and an inverted envelope to do that kind of side chaining effect, or having a compressor with a sidechain input on it, it's built into this, so that's nice. Although it does use up that particular accent mode, so you can only have one particular accent mode. You've got to choose. We've got starve. What's starve do? Oh, a voltage starve. Oh, nice. Yeah, because when you're using something like this, if you do starve that voltage, you're going to get that kind of drop, and then it just goes, it just kind of falls apart, doesn't it? It just really drops. And, oh, that sounds cool. That's great. The only thing I'd say about that is it'd be great to be able to tune that, because sometimes I'm using distortion. I've got some really brutal distortion going on, and it'd be great if you could tune it, basically, because sometimes it can be so jarring against what else is going on in the track. It doesn't sound that great. So I'd love to be able to tune distortion, but I guess that gets complicated with the amount of harmonics and stuff like that going on. I don't know. Anyone know how to tune sort of feedback and distortion and that kind of thing? Let me know in the comments. CV freeze, triggers and gates temporarily hold all CV values. So while it gets a trigger and a gate, all CV values are suddenly held. So send it loads of CV. Including the pitch is held as well. That's interesting. Nice, like it. Jump. What does jump do? Temporary pitch shift. Okay. Cool. Ah, so you can make it pitch up or down. Reverse. Sound is triggered with a reverse envelope shape. Sounds like that's been applied to the pitch. Wow. Hang on a minute, let's hear that bit again. All right. Burst mode. So this kind of introduces ratcheting. Okay. You notice he just changed the octave there as well, using that rotary controller. So with all those different trigger modes and all those different accent modes, along with all of the other functionality and CV control and drive, EQ, filtering, this looks like a very comprehensive, very interesting voice, all in a small, quite a small HP. So I guess the question is, who's going to get one? Let's dive in here and have a look at this a little bit more. So you've got the bass and treble here. The EQ section is between the tube and the filter. That's interesting, why they've decided to do that. By putting the EQ between the tube and the filter, it's probably going to give you more nuance and a wider range of sound output by putting it there as opposed to putting it after them or before them. Bass and treble, cut and boost. So yeah, by the sounds of it, they've probably just chosen a frequency and they've stuck with that. And you won't be able to change the frequency of the bass or treble unless there's a mode that they add in where you hold down one of the buttons and allows you to change that frequency. But I don't know. I don't know how much difference or how much nuance you really want on being able to change the bass and the treble frequency when you're working with such powerful distortion like this. Ah, yes. I hadn't noticed these before, sorry, I missed these. So these are CV attenuverters, which corresponds to the CV input. So that'll be your CV input slider attenuverter for that CV input. We've got the filter section, which is here. So for the filter, for example, you've got filter cutoff frequency and a filter envelope control. What else have we got? So we've got the mod, hum, and flux sliders. I don't know if I fully understood those, but they are in the video as to what they do. Right, so the clutch button, this one here, acts as a temporary parameter editing buffer. So as I mentioned, while you've got that down, you start messing around with the different parameters, and then when you let go, you hear the result of that. Just cool little things like that people throw in to the modules just can make things, yeah, just much more interesting. I don't think that's CV-able, so that's just manual, literally just tapping that. This mult CV input, so you can assign a CV input plus or minus volts to the bank and sound selection. Yeah, if you send like a sequence into it, you can sequence those, which would be interesting. Alternatively, the mult CV can be assigned as an additional CV input to any of the sliders as well. Wicked. That'd be really interesting. So not only have you got the CV inputs themselves, but then you can also apply whatever's going into your multi-CV to those in addition as well. Ooh. So you've got these accent inputs. I haven't understood those. I need to look at those really. Accent, duck, starve, CV, freeze, jump, reverse and burst as to what they do. I believe it was shown in Super Booth earlier this year as a prototype, but it looked quite a bit different. Ah, yes, here we go. I love the way that they display this, by the way, with the with those jump start leads. It's really cool. I like their vibe. Yeah, completely different interface. There's only what, 4 sliders there, probably 4 CV inputs. It's still got the tube there. I guess you'd want to see that anyway, whichever design that they go for. Yeah, it's quite different. Looks about the same size, so I think they've kept about the same footprint, which is good. Don't really want it to be too much bigger, but actually, you know, you're getting a full kind of synth voice here. You've got VCA in it, you've got the filters, you've got MIDI, and so it's quite a small footprint considering all of that you're getting in there, and you're getting that cool tube flashing about as well. So yeah, it's really interesting to see how manufacturers can take a product from a prototype and to its finished thing. I like seeing that journey. I've done product design myself, product development with both module manufacturers and a lot of music production brands in the past. And yeah, I do know just kind of how long time is taken over the product development lifespan. So be rest assured that whenever you're buying a module, it's probably gone through a lot of different kind of iterations before it finally lands in the shops. So yeah, loads that you can do with this. I think I've been through most of the things on here. I really like the look of this. I think it looks great. I mean, I'm very impressed with the video demo that they've released. I'm glad it's not much deeper than it is. I'm glad that it's that kind of size because, you know, you could probably have 2, but, you know, if you're buying 2, what were they, 499 euros? You know, that's getting 1,000 euros. VCA, VCF, well, different types of VCF in there. You've got your MIDI, you've got the drive in there, you've got the EQ. There's a lot going on for your money, I must admit. So can you buy from their website straight away? Let's have a look. So they're doing 100 units. You get a special design t-shirt as well. Oh, look at that. There's 2 in stock on their website. So that would suggest to me that all the others have gone. 4 to 6 weeks shipping. That's the t-shirt. What's this look like? Oh yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. Nice, I like it. What's it say on the back? Well, don't know quite what they are, but looks kind of cool. Yeah, nice style. I do like the design. I guess the question I'd ask is, you know, where would they go from here? So that they've got the drive, which is, you know, as I mentioned, you've got to send stuff into it, and you've got this as the voice, which is all self-contained. You know, where are they going to go next? Yeah, what would you like to see them do? Maybe put it down in the comments what you'd like to see using this kind of technology. Do you want something that's kind of polyphonic? What about a drum machine that's completely designed in this way? That could be interesting. Or all the kicks and all the snares and all from this. Or do you think they would sound kind of just too distorted? So what's your thoughts on this module? I'm really excited about getting hold of it and putting it through its paces, that's for sure. I use distortion a lot in my productions. I've got a lot of different distortion modules behind me. If you haven't checked out my productions before, please do head over to my Bandcamp and you'll be able to access all of my music on there and hear how I'm using distortion in different ways. I guess the beautiful thing about this module in particular is that you've got the distortion and the voice built in front and center, and that's what it's all about. And that for me means that it negates the need to have a separate voice and a separate distortion. Having said that, I'd probably like to also run this through some additional distortion, and particularly because I'm using stereo distortions a lot in my productions, this only being mono, I'm going to have to kind of stereoize it somehow. In terms of the price, yeah, it kind of sits all right for me, I think, given everything that you're getting and for the size of it as well. And, you know, the module itself is just an interesting approach. It seems very well thought out. Some of that functionality that they've added in there about the clutch, the use of the accents, the different trigger modes as well. I think all those things there's some really kind of neat thought about things within this module. And ultimately, I just love the sound of it. I mean, the demos that they've put up, I just totally connect with what it is that this thing does. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and do like and subscribe to this channel, because I'm sure as soon as it arrives, I'll be taking it through its paces and might do a live stream, and I'll do an overview of the module as well. So do hit subscribe and like. Let me know what your favorite distortion module is as well, or your different ways of working with distortion. Also, if you've got any specific things that you want me to look at when the module arrives, I'm more than happy to do that for you. So again, put that in the comments and I'll see if I can run it through its paces in that way. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.